Thank you very much. I'm called Dimo Silva. I'm a journalist, a freelance journalist in South Sudan. I report for VOA and for other agencies, including the AFP, the Associated France Presse. I was in the media cohort training with the Hardwired Global. So we explored a lot of discussions related to media, and in particular in our context in South Sudan, and how the media could help participate in the development of this country. Basically, for the last few months after the training, we are trying to put some of these trainings into practice. And that's why I'm here today. Yeah, we heard a lot, that there's a vacuum in civic engagement in South Sudan in particular, and then the rule of law and then the human rights. People have little understanding about these rights. They think these rights are meant for a particular group, but otherwise these rights are meant for everybody. And when you look into our constitution, we have all these rights enshrined into a constitution, but there is little outside there. People don't know much about these rights which are in the constitution. We also understand that these rights are for everybody, okay? A right that you have them like civil liberties. These are rights which are enshrined into the constitution, like right of expression, okay? Right of assembly, okay? Right of other, there are many actually that I could mention to you. So what we learn is that how do we incorporate these rights into our reporting? For instance, if you are writing a story, a particular story, you need to bring these right aspects into your story. And also you need to be inform people about these rights so they'll be able to know that these are the rights that they need to have. So this training has actually improved on our reporting in terms of being rights sensitive and also bringing in the civic engagement aspects into our reporting, whereby we need to tell the stories from people's participation. The people who are affected, they should speak for themselves. Then somebody is speaking for them. And that's why we need to create that gap which is widening. We need to bring the people closer to their decision makers or policy makers. They should not be far away from them. So by having their voices together, bringing their voices together, means giving them a chance to put into their inputs in decision making, so that when policy makers or decision makers are going to come with a policy that will affect the whole of the country, the ordinary person has a voice or has an input into it. And that is why this training is quite important and significant if we have to achieve the bigger role of improving the civic engagement and the human rights situations in this country. Thank you very much for bringing up this. In the media cohort training that we had, actually, after exploring, after discussing a lot, brainstorming on a lot of issues, at last we came with what we call editorial policies that should guide the media cohort. These editorial policies highlight some very important elements which I am making use of them at the moment. In particular, the aspect of accountability in reporting, the aspect of having the truth, is bring out the truth, okay? Is sticking to the truth in reporting. That means you give a chance for somebody to create trust with you, because when you give a true and accurate reporting means you are helping the person tomorrow to talk to you again, because there's already an aspect of trust. So we want to develop what we call credible journalism in this country, whereby journalists are accountable of what they report, okay? And that's why we came with those editorial policies that we put in place. And it has been very helpful, these editorial policies. It has guided us to make sure that our reporting doesn't, okay, harm or doesn't hurt somebody else. But then our reporting should help to empower people. Our reporting should help to make people speak up. So at the end, we are contributing to what we call freedom of expression, giving people the power to speak. And once they speak, they can easily influence the situation around them and they can participate in whatever decision is taking place in this country. That is a very beautiful question. Just of recent, we had a situation in this country where there was economic crisis following the decision by the cabinet to announce that they are going to change the currency of this country. There was a lot of panic outside there in the community. And not only the panic, prices went high up to the level that the ordinary citizen is not able to buy or to put food on the table. So I tried to use the aspect I learned in this story by how do I bring this element of this economic crisis in. So I went down to look at the family level. I went to families, I spoke to them how they are struggling with this economic hardship. Some even told me they have cut down their meals from having 3 meals in a day. They now have 1, or even they go with no meal in a day because things are difficult. So they were able to speak for themselves, and I also had some people who go to the market have their experience from there. So the idea was that this should send a signal to the decision makers, policy makers that, look, this is what citizens are going through. You need to do something. So we need to generate action-oriented reporting, whereby our stories should influence some action, should tell somebody somewhere else that, look, this is how situations are going. You need to do something now. You need to fix it. And you can only tell that from having people speak up for themselves. And that's why I had been using this. But then I was conscious about also their rights, because it is their right to have food. It is their right to have access to basic necessity. But if these rights are not being given because some policy making decisions are not favoring the local person, so it becomes a denial of these particular rights to these particular people. Actually, from the past engagement we had, I'm going out with a view that as a leader, you need to look at things from the people whom you lead. You need to give people a chance. You need to listen. You should be a good listener. Listen to the people, okay? Have their issues addressed by listening to them. What are their priorities? How do we put their priorities into action? And having their ideas not neglected, bringing people together, having people to share ideas. I think becoming a leader, if I'm one of the leaders in this country, this is what I will go with a popular decision of the people. At the moment, I to be honest to you, I was trying to still accumulate this information to myself and try to see how to work for myself before I could begin to help the other colleagues. But definitely, it is a process that I will still take on how to help other colleagues with similar ideas of this training. So it's not a one-step goal. So it is a process. So I cannot see how the other colleagues are going to benefit from what I have gotten unless I do it myself, I implement it myself, and I see it is working for me, and I'll be able to help other colleagues to also do the same. At the moment, I've not been able to help many colleagues on this, but I think as time goes around, I'll be able to take this training and empower also other colleagues that are around me.